I know what you're thinking. Why are you still here? It's, yeah, past midnight, 12:24 to be precise. Well, I was going to leave before midnight, like after 11, I think. As I was wrapping up another live stream, I said, I'm going to go home early today. Well, and then things didn't work out. I got too many guitars here, and I need to look at them. And this one's interesting. So I thought, maybe let's put this on a playlist. And maybe, well, I am streaming. Okay. All right. So before we get into it, welcome back to Guitar Quackery Live. This is the live streaming channel. Sorry. Let me do this again. Welcome back to Guitar Quackery Live. This is the live streaming channel of Guitar Quackery. So Guitar Quackery Live is the one and only live streaming guitar repair channel. How about that? So if you like to watch, you know, this type of content, if you like the idea of catching me live in real time at work, right here, then subscribe to this channel. The content is kind of painful to watch in replay, I think, because, you know, it's unedited. But I think it's kind of fun to watch it live. And everything gets archived. So then you can watch the replays and kind of scroll through and find your favorite parts, or answers to some questions, solutions, right? To some problems and issues. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a Martin, and what do you know? There's a crack here. It's quite nasty. It's wide open. Now this guitar was dropped off here a few days ago, almost like a week ago, I think. I gotta check. And when I do any kind of rehumidification, I always start with, unless I know I need to use a more aggressive method, I always start with, you know, less aggressive methods. So, and there are a couple of reasons for this in this case. All right, let's talk about it. First, I want to see how the guitar responds to normal humidity. So I kept this guitar in my humidity controlled vault, and that is controlled so that the humidity is always between 45 and 55% relative humidity. So that's ideal, right? And I wanted to see if, so this guitar, so, okay, so I don't know how low the humidity went to cause this to crack like this, but I know that in New York City, apartments, when the heat is on, the humidity can drop down to about 10% or so, right? So that's really not good for guitars. And a guitar can fracture overnight. And if you happen to be in the room when it does that, you can actually hear it. And that's it, right? Yeah, it's a sudden release of, you know, tension. Now, why did I just basically not do much? You know, well, I just kept it for about a week in a 45 to 55% humidity controlled environment, just to see what happens. Sometimes these fractures just kind of close up on their own. Maybe not all the way, but you know, when the guitar is in you know, about 45 to 55% humidity. I loosened the strings, as you can see, so the strings are loose, and it didn't do much. So this tells me that this guitar is likely to suffer another fracture, dryness fracture, even after I repair it. So, Martin guitars have issues. Oh, look, I have a viewer. Yeah, I'm still here, live streaming. So Martin guitars are not as good as some people think they are. They really are not. They, you know, some of them fall apart spontaneously. And you don't need to take my word for it. I have one right here. So let's have a look at this. So I'm going to show you another issue that has nothing to do. Actually, I'm going to show you a few issues that have nothing to do with this humidity thing. Here it is. Here's one issue. We're looking at, oh, I know what I'll do. Okay, so I have a light. Let's put this in autofocus. Okay, so I might or might not be actually repairing this guitar, and it's just because this guitar has multiple issues. Well, it's a Martin. So here we go. We have, okay, this is the heel of the neck. Now let me put a light here. Do you see this gap? Okay, you can clearly see it right there. Let's zoom in a little bit. It's not in focus. I don't know why not. But here, there's this gap. Look at that, right? Okay, so that's the gap between the heel of the neck and the body of the guitar. So like I said, it's falling apart spontaneously. And, you know, it's typical for these guitars. I just see it so often. It's horrible. So I know the companies are not going to like me, but they are not my customers. Yeah, they're not. You are my customers. So the guitar owners are my customers. So I'm a consumer advocate, right? I want this channel to be known for that. This channel and the other channel. So the Guitar Quackery channels. So let me show you this. We have this situation here now. When we place a straight edge over the frets, this needs to be kind of kissing the bridge. Okay, we shouldn't have a gap. We don't really have a gap. I mean, a slight little gap. But this soundboard is completely collapsed, right, due to dryness. So when we actually rehumidify the guitar, the soundboard will puff up. And then we will have a situation that the strings will be too high, and we might not be able to lower the saddle because we'll run out of saddle height, and we are going to reduce the break angle behind the saddle. And that's all because now there's a gap here. So this neck basically moved in this direction, which obviously raised the strings. So right now the strings aren't too high, but they will be once I rehumidify this guitar. Because right now, if I place this straight edge here, you can see clearly that there's a gap, right? See that? Even here behind the bridge. Now, normally you would have a high point here, right? When the guitar is properly humidified, you would have a high point. And so if I simulate it, if I just place an object here, this is an exaggeration, right? But you would be seeing this situation, okay? And we're not seeing that because the soundboard is collapsed. Obviously, it's collapsed. We can see a fracture right here. It's dried up. So yeah, so that's an issue here. So these guitars are just falling apart. Now, other issues that are typical for Martin guitars are the binding falling off. Okay, so where's my feeler gauge? Okay, you can see here. Let me move the guitar here in this direction and zoom in a little bit. I'm going to need to reposition the camera. This is what we see. Let's focus. So you see the gap between the binding and the board, right? Right there. So we have this gap at the waist, okay? And we have a gap at the other side as well. I can place the feeler gauge inside, you can see that. Okay, so why does this happen? Well, because for whatever reason, Martin keeps using the type of plastic that keeps shrinking over time. So it shrinks, and there's not enough length left after it shrinks to hug this portion of the waist on both sides. So it just peels off. So if you think of a car that's parked in the summer in a parking lot, it gets hot in the car, you enter the car and you can smell the plastic. So that's the type of plastic that's off-gassing. So as it's off-gassing, it's shrinking, just like this sponge. Okay, so the humidity leaves the sponge and it shrinks. So does that plastic. So it keeps off-gassing forever and it keeps shrinking. So even if you re-glue it, there's ways to re-glue the same binding. You can stretch it a little bit with a heat gun, re-glue it, or you can first unglue it. So another way to do it would be to just unglue it, unglue the rest of it from here, and then on the other side, and then re-glue it starting from here and work all the way to here. But then you would end up with a gap here, which sometimes you can fill, right? But the problem is, it keeps off-gassing, you know, even after you re-glue it. So you don't know how long it's going to last. I've seen these bindings fall off multiple times. Okay. Yeah. So because of the binding issue and because of the neck falling apart issue, I don't really know if I'll be repairing this guitar. So why is this guitar here? Well, the customer brought it in for an assessment, and I don't do free assessments, so I charge for assessments. And now, my assessment fee, the way it's structured now, is always applied towards the work. So we figured out that it would just cost him $20 more just for me to re-humidify the guitar, right? Because he's already paid for the assessment. And we said, why don't we do that? Now, I don't normally do that. You know, I don't do like partial services. But in this case, I want to see for myself what's going to happen to this guitar. And if after I re-humidify the guitar, it kind of plays and we don't even glue the crack, he can have it. But, you know, maybe we'll do a setup. Maybe we'll glue the crack. This is a Martin DM, so it's not a very valuable guitar. So it kind of doesn't make sense to spend too much money on it, especially when the neck is coming off. All right, a neck reset is out of the question on this guitar because it would cost more than buying a DM, a Martin DM guitar, right? So that's that. Am I forgetting anything? Yeah, so I always like to show this sponge to explain dryness issues on soundboards. So I feel that people understand this intuitively. They see what happened, and then they understand how a soundboard can shrink, just like this sponge. Oh, a rubbish guitar bloke is here. Good morning, Professor, he says. Good morning, Doctor. So Peter James says, thanks for the CLAA class, I guess. Yeah, well, you're welcome. And Ginny, it's not Jimmy, it's Ginny Ridger says, that charge goes towards the bill, right? Yes, it does. Yes, so I can't afford to look at guitars without charging for my time. So I make that clear before people come, right? I send them a PDF that explains that I will look at the guitar, but they will be paying for the assessment. In fact, because I work by appointment only, except for, you know, when people just drop off guitars without an appointment, right? That happens. Not too often, but it happens. In order to book an appointment, people need to book it online, but they need to pay the appointment fee, right? And that's just to avoid looking at guitars and then people saying, oh, okay, let me think about it. Maybe I'll call you back. No, because if I spend 15 minutes on a guitar, that's, you know, valuable time. So this way, people only come if they really want to fix their guitars. And that assessment fee is fully credited towards the repair if we end up doing a repair. Now, they can say no, and that's perfectly fine. But then I keep the fee, right? Obviously. Just like, if you bring your cat to the vet, they're going to examine the cat. That's not going to be free, right? That's the exam. Or if you go anywhere, I think, yeah. That's how they fix kitchen appliances as well, right? Why wouldn't we do the same in a guitar repair? I feel that I wanted to say something else, and now I keep forgetting. Oh yeah, so the first attempt at rehumidification. So I know you guys missed the beginning, but I just kept it in my humidity-controlled environment for about a week. So it's really controlled between 45 and 55%, and nothing happened at all. There's no closure whatsoever. So now I'm going to start more forceful rehumidification. So I have this sound hole humidifier that I am simply going to, so this is a wet sponge. So this is going to be in addition to the guitar being in a properly humidified environment. So now I'm going to monitor this for a few days, see what happens. And if there's no change, or if the change is too subtle, then we'll do a more forceful humidification. Okay, now I have a small audience, but unfortunately, this is the end of this live stream. I don't think I'll be streaming anymore tonight, unfortunately. Okay, so like I said, I am sharing this knowledge to help you out, to help the community, especially guitar players, because guitar players are my customers, and not all guitar players can come here, obviously. But I can I can reach out to guitar players through YouTube. So if you feel that this helped you out in any way, feel free to click the like button and the share button so that you can help the community. Once again, this is Guitar Quackery Live. This isn't the main channel, Guitar Quackery, right? This is just the live streaming channel. You can catch me at work if you subscribe to this channel. And if you want to buy me a coffee, there's a link you can click below to buy me a coffee. Thank you if you do. No worries if you don't. But it's there. The link is there. All right, I'm going to put this baby away. And I don't think I'll be streaming anymore tonight. But that was, 2 guitars ago I said that. So we'll see what happens. Okay, kids. Good night.